The security guard didn't look at me long, just enough to confirm what the tablet already told him. "You're not on the list, sir." The words felt like gloved fingers closing around my ribs, methodical, emotionless, certain. Behind him, the ballroom shimmered in warm gold light. Laughter rolled out in waves. The sound of success, recognition, celebration. My wife thrived in places like that. I inhaled once, slow, controlled. She had sent the invitation. Her name was attached to it, her signature, her precise little flourish at the end, like she always wrote on sticky notes stuck to my lunchbox years ago when things were different. But the guard stepped aside, and I saw a clipboard with "Managers plus Representatives Only" printed in clean Helvetica. My role wasn't on the sheet. Still, the intern who started 3 days ago walked in with a +1 clinging to his arm. That was the moment the imbalance shifted. So small most people would have missed it, but I felt it like a blade sliding between two ribs. A message buzzed on my phone. "Running late, love. See you inside." Inside. Inside a place I apparently didn't belong. I studied the text. The lowercase love, her casual tone, her quick lie. A second buzz. A photo someone posted publicly. A shot of the ballroom. She sat near the stage, not alone. Her shoulder leaned into a man I recognized from another lifetime. An ex she once described as a closed chapter. The chapter looked open, alive, laughing. My pulse stayed steady. Something inside me didn't. I slipped to the side of the ballroom's frosted glass wall, watching through gaps where the curtains didn't meet. A strange clarity settled over me, like the moment before a storm when the air holds its breath. There she was, my wife, polished, effortless, commanding the table like a conductor cueing an orchestra. Her hand rested near his. Too near. Not touching, she was smarter than that. But in the orbit of intimacy one only maintains when the past still breathes. He whispered something. She lowered her head, smiling the private smile she stopped giving me months ago. And suddenly, everything I hadn't wanted to see rearranged itself. The last-minute schedule changes, the guarded phone, the work dinners that stretched to midnight, the sudden interest in dressing like she was interviewing for a new life. None of it was proof. Not yet. Suspicion is a quiet, hungry animal. It grows in the dark, feeding on patterns your mind pretends not to notice. I stepped back, letting the curtain fall. She told me this gala honored innovation, dedication, and internal unity. I supported her, always had, through promotions, late nights, crises. I believed in her more fiercely than she believed in herself. But she didn't put my name on the list. That was the kind of oversight people make for strangers. My denial cracked at the edges. Still, I didn't confront. Not here. Not in a place where everyone applauded her brilliance. Instead, I walked outside, where the cold air sharpened my focus. My laptop waited in the car. So did the data I had been collecting quietly, methodically, ever since her lies began slipping through seams she thought were invisible. Tonight was supposed to be her moment. And maybe it still would be. Just not in the way she expected. I didn't mean to turn into an investigator. I only meant to understand. But understanding is a door that never closes once you open it. It started weeks ago. Neutral things that didn't stay neutral. A location ping from a restaurant where she swore she wasn't. A company calendar entry marked off-site review that didn't appear on anyone else's schedule. A name that resurfaced in her emails, cloaked in the polite formalities of vendor coordination, though he wasn't on any vendor list. Her ex. A ghost she swore had no shadow left. I told myself to trust her, to be patient, to give space instead of suspicion. But space became distance. Distance became silence. Silence became absence. So I traced patterns, phone records, calendar discrepancies, expenses that didn't match receipts. Slack messages accidentally synced to our shared tablet because she forgot I still had access. Not incriminating, but suggestive in ways that whispered rather than shouted. Still, I said nothing. Not even when I saw her car parked outside a hotel labeled Strategic Development Summit on her timesheet. Not even when he liked her photo at 2 a.m. and she replied at 2:01. I waited, watching, documenting, layering facts like sediment. Because truth doesn't need drama. It just needs time. By the gala night, I had enough. Enough to map the entire architecture of her deception, its entry points, its exits, its structural weakness. And there, in my car outside the glowing ballroom, I finished the last piece. I compiled everything into one email. Not to her, to the entire upper management team, board members, HR directors, partner firms. A clean subject line, conflict of interest, documentation attached. Inside was the timeline, screenshots, messages, expense trails, attendance logs, everything pointing to a violation of company policy she helped write. No accusations, no narrative, just truth, the kind you can't explain away. My finger hovered over the send button. I stared through the glass again. Her laughter drifted out, bright, careless, unscarred. I clicked, then closed the laptop, then walked toward the doors. I entered through the staff corridor, bypassing the list entirely. The ballroom felt warmer now, almost suffocating under its chandelier glow. She saw me before anyone else, a flicker, startled, almost guilty. "Why are you here?" she whispered when I reached her table. A simple question, too revealing in its simplicity. I didn't answer. I just placed my laptop bag on the chair behind her, opened it slightly so she saw the edge of the screen, and I watched it hit her. Recognition, fear, understanding. Her ex leaned forward, confused. "Is everything okay?" She didn't look at him, couldn't. Her phone buzzed, then another, then another. Around the room, pockets of realization rippled outward as executives glanced at devices, then at her. Her face drained quietly, beautifully, like someone dimming the light behind her eyes. "What did you do?" she breathed. "Nothing you didn't start," I said, voice steady enough to scare even myself. She reached for my wrist. I pulled away. Her ex leaned back, instinctively distancing himself as if betrayal were contagious. The music kept playing, recognition speeches continued, but at our table, the truth sat like an open wound. She wasn't crying yet. Shock holds the tears hostage. I leaned close, not tender, not intimate, just close enough for the truth to land where excuses couldn't reach. "Check your email." 3 words, flat, precise. Then I stood. Her hand trembled as she unlocked her phone. Notifications flooded in, her boss, HR, compliance, board members. Her ex looked horrified, realizing the blast radius included him. She whispered my name like a plea, but pleas belong to the innocent. I stepped back, letting her drown in the silence she created. Colleagues turned toward her one by one, curiosity sharpening into judgment. Someone whispered. Another frowned at her screen. The CFO looked directly at her with a stare that meant questions and consequences. She rose from her chair too quickly, almost stumbling. "Wait, please, we can talk." But her words hit the air and fell. I had already walked away from the table. Every step felt like reclaiming a part of myself she thought she could replace. Phones kept buzzing. Someone called her name sharply. Her supervisor's voice cut across the room like a blade. The applause on stage tapered off as tension replaced celebration. She stood alone, exposed, stripped of the power she wielded so effortlessly. My revenge wasn't loud. It didn't need to be. Truth doesn't shout. It devastates quietly. I reached the exit doors just as the night breeze slipped in, cold and clean. My heartbeat was calm, almost eerily so. Behind me, someone yelled her name again. Another phone rang. A chair scraped hard against the floor. None of it touched me. For the first time in months, the weight in my chest loosened, unraveling in slow, deliberate strands. I didn't win. I didn't lose. I simply stepped out of a story she assumed I'd never stop reading. The parking lot lights flickered overhead as I walked toward my car. My reflection in the window looked unfamiliar, straighter, sharper, untethered. Maybe betrayal doesn't change you. Maybe it just removes whatever kept you from seeing yourself clearly. My phone buzzed once. Her name on the screen. I let it ring. Then silence. Then stillness. I opened the car door, sat down, exhaled once, and looked back at the glowing building where everything had just collapsed for her. Finally, I whispered to myself, the truth is the only thing left. And I drove away, quiet, steady, done.